This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. We're so glad you can join us. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I finished my conversation with Casey Anderson of the Iowa Beef Industry Council, and we talk about how the beef checkoff helps Iowa beef producers. We also have a look at the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down those markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of the trading session for another day here, and for these closing market prices, we go to Jacob Burks of agmarket.net for a little bit of analysis. Jacob, what did we see in the grain markets today?
We saw some, I would call it a pretty unusual day of trading. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've seen wheat and corn go in the same direction, and we saw a little bit of, trading on their own, I guess you would probably say today. The corn market in the front months up 15 cents, and looking at the back months up, 12 cents. We had a really solid day in the corn market. Corn 60 cents off their highs on the day, but a really positive performance. You look at the December corn, going to settle around 7.15 area, but above there, the support line that everybody was watching as we fell last week, hoping that didn't turn into resistance this week, and traded through it today and felt pretty comfortable. Yesterday was kind of an ugly day. It bumped up against that support level that was now resistance at 703 3/4 and didn't close above it. Had an ugly overnight session. Was down 4 or 5 cents, and then turned around on some headlines this morning and went right back through it. Bean market is notable. The front months up 31 cents in July, 17.30 is where we're trading right now. The back months, November, up 12. So you obviously made you start thinking and looking at what causes that type of spread movement here. It felt like business coming in. It felt like China. We're hearing scuttlebutts that China bought some cargoes out of the PNW. On the wheat front, down 18 cents. It's almost like they didn't get the memo that they were supposed to be higher here today. But that's many different things that we could be seeing to cause the discrepancy. But like we've said several times, when you see 20-cent moves when you're at $11 wheat, sometimes it's just some hedge trading or some hedge funds movement. You are in the middle of starting today the Goldman roll, so you see some type of odd trade and odd spreading here at times like that.
Right, and especially with kind of, everything felt backwards today. The USDA planting progress numbers came out, and corn was actually ahead of the average, and, the crop rating was really nice as well, which would normally be, more of a bearish factor on the market, but they're still up anyway. So what was going on there?
You have to take the planting progress. That's something that has been questioned. How far along are we? That is something that's been pretty well documented as we go along. We got in pretty good, went pretty fast. It was later planting than normal. So for later planting to then result into, crop conditions being high is kind of odd. And I mean, there's some questions out there, but we've said many times that the U.S. farmer does a pretty good job of getting that plant going once they get an opportunity to roll. And technology and hard work and everything else that goes along with it. Again, another result that you see, got in pretty quick. Last week, the emergence in most of the areas was really quick, really good. And you're seeing some really good looking corn out there. So the conditions report doesn't surprise me. Being up 10 cents after you see 78% good to excellent, that's what would probably be the biggest surprise. So I think the headlines really overtook. I think people are starting to trade what Russia does versus what they say they're going to do a lot more than just the headlines that they're going to get some of this ground. We took a lot of Ukraine war premium out of the market last week. I think they're putting a little bit back into it here. But I think when you look at what areas are not planted, the biggest questions right now: how much did North Dakota and northern Minnesota not get planted? but also you have to factor in how much anecdotal acres across the Corn Belt do we actually get in there.
All right, and then what did we see on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
A very, I would say, a very strong day to be up 10 cents in the corn market and see feeder cattle up pretty strong. That's a good day. You've seen the cattle market. Forward contracting has been a little bit, pulled back a little bit. You start to see weights come back a little bit, so the packers are starting to have to come out and buy in the live cattle. But all in all, it was a good solid day in the cattle. We're up $1 in the June. We're up $1.25 in August. Feeder cattle 50 cents higher. That's I would say a really good performance from a technical standpoint. You're starting to see a little bit of support on some of these moving averages. But all in all, that's been following right along, trading opposite of the corn market, and it's nice to see on days where it trades on its own. And I think some of the fundamentals of the feeder cattle market, there's pasture conditions have finally gotten better with some good rains out in the west, and it's a desire for those guys to stop culling cattle and stop pushing them early, and maybe have some pasture ready to put them in there. Hog market, I felt like was just a pretty tight, consolidated day. Not a lot of news in the hog market, and you got a lot of convergence and a lot of trading in between some of these support levels, resistance levels on these moving averages, and just a kind of a quiet day. Sometimes that's not always bad.
Right, exactly. So lots of great information today for those of our listeners and our watchers who would like to learn more and get in touch with folks at agmarket.net. How can they do that?
Oh, I'd just encourage guys to take a look on the website, look at agmarket.net. You can go in there and sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's probably the best way to do that. You can get all of our information there. You can contact me directly, 608-384-5438.
All right, Jacob. Well, it was great talking to you today, and we hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, Riley. Thanks for having me.
And that again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. July corn is up 14.5 at $7.57 even. December corn up 11.5 at $7.14 even. July soybeans up 29 even at $17.28 and a quarter. November soybeans up 16 and a quarter at $15.49 and 3/4. Soybean meal up $8.50 at $409.80. Soybean oil up 11 cents at $79.60. July wheat is down 21 and a quarter at $10.71 and 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 3 and a quarter at $12.27 and a quarter. Kansas City hard red wheat down 20 and 3/4 at $11.49 and a quarter. And July oats down 12 and a quarter at $6.68 even. On the Merc, live cattle are up $1.22 at $134.12. Feeder cattle up 47 at $172.45. Lean hogs up 30 at $109.27. Pork cutout down $1.72 at $110.82. And Class 3 milk down 4 cents at $24.42. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I have the rest of my conversation with the Iowa Beef Industry Council's Casey Anderson, where we talk about the Beef Checkoff and how it helps producers. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Last month, I talked with Casey Anderson, the Director of Industry Relations with the Iowa Beef Industry Council. And today we're finishing up that conversation by talking about the Beef Checkoff and how it helps producers.
Well, the Beef Checkoff has been around for several decades. And as the beef industry evolves, as beef production today evolves, our producers are aging, but we also know that there's a younger demographic. And so our challenge is communicating in such a way that everybody finds value in it. So I'm 30. I may communicate or find my information in different spots than, say, like my dad. And so as the beef industry evolves, the checkoff has to evolve along with it to help producers understand what we're doing with their checkoff investment. I oftentimes like to think of our producers as our shareholders. They're paying into the checkoff and they expect a certain value in return for that investment. And so I think of them as our shareholders, and we have several different ways that we go about communicating what programs we're working on and what that value is. And that's across several different media platforms. So that may be some radio spots, maybe conversations with people like yourself, print, that kind of thing. But the really fun thing, at least in my mind, is explaining to producers how we're able to leverage the technology of today and apply it to a industry that has a lot of legacy and a lot of history. So we're able to be really efficient with those funds and get a lot of bang for our buck.
Right, and you mentioned that the industry and how we get the information out is just constantly evolving and constantly changing, and we change with it. And it's good to let the producers know how we're changing and how they can take advantage of that. And I like how you mentioned that you consider them shareholders, because a big thing with agriculture, and especially in the beef industry, is we're all on the same team. So we need to know that we're all working together and we're all going for the same goal.
So with the diversity in agriculture that we see here in the Midwest, especially here in Iowa, it's important that we advocate for everyone. So you won't ever see the Beef Checkoff promoting a grass-fed producer or type of product over a conventionally grain-fed. Our messaging is centered around lifting all boats, lifting all producers. So we want to make sure that everyone derives value. So you'll see that in some of our consumer communication as well. We want to provide the information and inform consumers so that they can make a decision that they feel really good about, in hope that they have the understanding that any choice is a great choice. So getting back to the producer side of things, we communicate the same way and we prioritize the same way, knowing that there's a lot of diversity and there's a lot of producers in the state to represent. So we want to make sure that we're providing value back for everyone.
Right, and that diversity is probably one of the best things about the beef industry and agriculture in Iowa. You've got beef producers, you've got poultry, grain, hogs, all these things, and they all work together at the same time. And often farmers are, they belong to several different groups, and it all works together.
That's exactly right. The messaging that we do and the work that we do with consumers, granted, we don't always get to see the long tail of it. So we may not always realize those benefits, but other commodity groups may benefit from some of that protein messaging as well, which is good for everyone in agriculture, especially when, like I said, lots of our producers may have different livestock and they may have crop enterprises. And so making sure that all rowers are rowing in the same direction, meaning agriculture, is really important.
And that again was Casey Anderson, the Director of Industry Relations for the Iowa Beef Industry Council. Before we wrap up today's episode, let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, today here in Des Moines especially, we're seeing some of the consequences of the heavy rain we got over the weekend, as we do have a river or two overflowing here for a little bit today. But as for today and tomorrow, we're looking at some sunny conditions, or at least mostly sunny. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see here from the National Weather Service, the temps are nice, but they are also bringing some rain with them. Today we've got variably cloudy skies across the state with chances for showers and thunderstorms to increase in the afternoon. Temps range from the mid to upper 70s. Tonight, showers and storms will be more likely in the western and central parts of Iowa. Lows overnight should range from the mid to upper 50s. Tomorrow, showers and storms push out of the state through the 70s. Looking at the affiliate weather map right now, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will be partly cloudy with a high of 73. Shenandoah sunny with a high around 77. Des Moines partly cloudy with showers later and a high of 76. Albia cloudy with showers later and 70. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that brings us to the end of the Ag Weather Outlook and the end of today's episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when these videos come out. Don't forget our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean as well. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Avery Haskell and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.